It's another edition of Super Centex After Dark with the crew. Uh, we had 8 riders out tonight. Got 6 of them here in the pod. Um, and I'm going to start with you, Chad, because I just happened to read your story. I don't think I've read anybody else's yet. Uh,
Well, it's good you're starting with me because I had a good game, and
yeah,
also I told some BYU fans I'd meet them out at the bar later. So
you're a funny man. Funny man.
I had that one teed up like from like Wednesday on.
uh,
I
yeah, good.
thought I thought Mormons didn't drink. Like
That's
that
that's
doesn't
the
make
I
sense.
think
joke.
that
That's
I
the
think that
joke,
was the
Zach.
joke, Zach. It's late, man. I think
All
that
right,
was the
yeah,
joke.
okay. I'm glad I whatever. Never mind.
Good win for the Mart Panthers.
Yeah, they've come a long way from that first week when they just got drubbed by Whitney, and I think we all know that Whitney's a pretty good team. And but we wrote that story in the preview about how Mart's going to Mart, and I think maybe Coach Hoffman wished we hadn't written that. Although,
Mm,
like, when you write something that a school is a strong winning tradition, like, I'm sorry, but that's kind of a compliment. But,
right.
but, uh, but then I'm sure he went out and the way they played that first week, he was maybe thinking, you know, they had a lot of work to do, but they've done the work, and they played a state. The crazy thing is, like, they get beat by Whitney. Of course, Albany lost that first week too, I think, and they beat Maypro in overtime and beat Bartlett, and they're back at like they're at number one in 2A. They go up in rank.
Right.
So it's not just us that expects Mart to Mart, right?
Yeah.
Um, but tonight, Bremond looked really good actually. But Mart got up 20-0 on them, and I think that was really good for Mart to get out and throw the first punch. Then, like I said, Bremond looked good. Wide receiver Braylon Estrada looked strong, was breaking into open field and making plays. Tank Scott's, a good player. Tank Scott's going to run roughshod over a lot of people. He just couldn't run roughshod over
I
Mart.
always love a good tank. Remember Tank Smith?
Yeah, well,
Oh,
like I said, I'm going to go meet the BYU fans and get Tank. So
oh gosh.
Hank Smith, that's what they used to call me in high school.
Nice.
is it really?
No, no, no. Maybe
Mar-
college when I got tanked.
Only Chad would know Tank Smith. It was a Marlin running back from the early 2000s. So
Yeah, he was a defensive tackle too, wasn't he?
he was a tank.
Yeah. Anyway, Mart recovered a fumble inside their own 10 on defense. They got a fourth down stop inside their own 5. And then the next play on their ensuing possession, they fumbled. It looked like a disaster. Fremont was going to recover and go into the end zone. Instead, Kadarian Franklin grabs it and turns it into an 7-yard gain to the 11. The next play, Demontre Medlock goes 69 yards to the Bremond 20, flipped the field, which was crucial in a defensive game. They got one more fourth down stop near midfield. They gave them the ball back with about 3.5 minutes left, and they ran out the clock. So it's a great high school football game, actually.
Nice. Um, so DJ was at Waco ISD Stadium for the West-Marlin game and looked like another kind of rugged, tough-nosed game. West defense held Marlin to 7 points. I mean, what did you take out of this one, DJ? Hello? She's giving me a just hang on a second. All right, we'll move on and we'll
Wait,
come back to you. Robinson Rockets
Wait,
state
wait, wait. I
rec.
figured it out. I figured
wait,
it
there
out.
she is. Oh, wait, there she is.
Oh, there she
Sorry.
is.
I don't know why, but I couldn't get the mute button to unmute.
Hey, y'all want to hear some technical difficulties? So, as you know, I am the freaking announcer for the Midway goaltenders and band at halftime this year, and I had to go up a floor on the press box to get to the PA, and the friggin' elevator wasn't coming. And so finally, I just had to like sprint up the stairs. And now I'm like opening every door. Where's the PA? Where's the PA? And this guy finally calls me down. It's down here. And so I was late and I'm like all out of breath. And then like they're texting me after and saying, was there a technical difficulty there? Because like they had already started. I had to come in late. It was just that kind of night.
Wait, you were in the press box already, and you were taking the press box from one floor to the other?
Yeah.
Just take the stairs, man.
No, I should have, but I didn't see where the stairs were. So anyway, go on, DJ.
I mean, this ain't a technical difficulty, but Waco IC press box was infested with crickets. So
It's cricket season,
It
baby.
is cricket
it's
season,
I mean, I'm looking at a bunch of them right now, just over on that wall over there.
and they stink. We don't like those stinky crickets.
No, I mean, compared to the game I saw yesterday to tonight, it was kind of like
Boring.
a little lackluster.
Mm.
Um, if Marlin plays the way that it did tonight in district, then Rosebud Lot is going to celebrating a district championship at the end of the season because, I mean, the Bulldogs kind of just they shot themselves a little bit. They had a couple of turnovers, like picks. One of them for 100-yard touchdown return, pick six. And then, turnovers on downs, just like little things like holding calls and false starts. And there was like one play that would have been almost a touchdown, but then they got called for an eligible receiver downfield. I don't know. Like, I feel like those are things that are fixable. But then in the second half, they're down 2 touchdowns and they're just running the clock, right? Like there was no urgency. There was like no like, hey, like we gotta get on the board fast, right? Like because they turn the ball over to start the half, and West goes and scores and gets ahead, and then Hoy Klish gets the pick six for 100 yards, and which was incredible, by the way. Just like you take it from the goal line, cut through everybody, and then the rest of your teammates are just blocking for you. So by the end of it, you're basically just racing each other, right? And I mean, no, it was a great game for West because, like, coming off of that loss to Hillsborough, they really wanted to come back and get back into shape and get, they did everything that they were supposed to do. Devin Crane looked really good, even for being a young quarterback. Like he threw 2 touchdowns, like for a lot of yardage. I'm terrible at keeping stats, especially when a game is kind of like this, where like where it's a little messy. I don't know. Like I feel like Marlin's gonna be fine in the long run. I feel like they're not the Marlin they were last year when Ruben, and obviously Coach Rogers is still like, this is his first year leading this team, even though he was there as a defensive coordinator. But like, it was kind of interesting because he was actually calling the offensive plays, and there's a couple guys that were also a little banged up. I don't know. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way that they didn't seem to be any urgency trying to get, like the drive going, right? Like they were just eating up clock and they were looking at the sideline. And I mean, I asked Coach, and who's been really like anytime I call Coach Rogers, he's always super gracious. And even after this loss, like he was really gracious about it. So, but I asked Coach about it, and he was just like, we were trying to get guys off the field that, were a little banged up and just trying to get, things settled down. But they play like they played tonight. Like,
yeah, we always got to be aware. I feel like we always got to be aware of teams going 2 or more divisions up. Like they were going 2 divisions up. Mart against Whitney was going 3 divisions up, and the depth is just going to be such a huge factor in games like
Yeah,
that.
it's a 3A beating a 2A. I mean, it's not to me. It's not really that surprising. All right, let's move on because DJ, your reception was a little bad anyway. Levi saw Brownwood and China Spring, which okay, I heard Tyler Beatty do an interview, maybe on the radio as I was going to the Midway game. I don't know. I don't remember when I heard it, but he he said everything except we're just going to roll over these guys. Like he basically said that. I mean, which La Vega did last week. Brownwood gets a win.
Yeah, so when I was kind of doing my research this morning and whatnot, I was kind of already formulating like prepping the article like China Spring was going to win because after they lost tonight, this is their longest like regular season losing streak since 2019 at 3 games, which is pretty
Wow.
crazy to think about. But yeah, I wasn't really expecting Brownwood to be that good considering what happened at La Vega last week, which was what was it? It was 43 to nothing.
43 to
43
nothing.
0. I mean,
So like, I
Brownwood
had low
looked
expectations
lifeless
for
last week,
Brownwood.
honestly. And you know what? It might. I know La Vega got beat tonight, but it might just speak to how good La Vega actually is.
Yeah, very well might be. And so I came away from this game and I watched it. I'm like, I don't really know what I just watched because I think China Spring is very one-dimensional on offense. They really struggle to throw the ball, and I don't know if that's going to be fixed even going into district play. And they led at halftime 21-20, but in the second half they had a lot of self-inflicted mistakes. They turned the ball over 3 times. The defense played pretty well, but the defense was on the field for the majority of the game. So it was kind of one of those games where you can kind of feel like at some point Brownwood's kind of going to break through and China Spring's not going to be able to hold them. And that's ultimately what happened. And there was also a crucial play in the second half where China Spring got a stop, but the punt went off of one of China Spring's guys. And so Brownwood got it back, kicked the field goal, kind of got the momentum, retook the lead with that. And and the offense, they were shut out in the second half. I think they had 2 or 3 and outs, 2 or 3 turnovers. And after the game, Coach Beatty was talking about how, we're right where we want to be. We'd rather be 0-5 in non-district with everybody healthy and whatnot than 5-0 and, kind of the opposite. And I wasn't around when China Spring was at their peak. I didn't cover them last year, so I don't really know what to compare them to. But what I saw tonight wasn't overly impressive, and I think particularly with those teams, La Vega is probably the better of the two by a pretty good margin, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's talk about La Vega. So Michael played Stephenville to within 10 points, I see. How did that game come out?
Yeah, and looking at that final score, if you would have told Coach Hyde and the rest of the Pirates faithful that they would only lose by 10 after, being down 24-7 with 4 first half turnovers. I mean, like the game when they muffed the opening kick, you just kind of got a sense of like, uh-oh, like this could not go well. And I do apologize for the music here.
No, you're good. I don't hear it.
I can't hear it.
I'm gonna walk this way. Okay, good. Well, I'm gonna keep walking this way in case hopefully y'all can see the Alico in the background.
Yeah, I love the Alico.
But seriously, like when they muffed that opening kick, you're just thinking like, oh my gosh, like here we go. Like this is not gonna go well. Stephenville, is just gonna kind of roll. And look, Stephenville's good. Like Stephenville's really good. I don't think that's a surprise. Like Stephenville's good. But I'll be completely honest, like watching kind of, from the trenches to the secondary, like La Vega never, to me at least, looked overmatched at all. Whether that be a size, from a size standpoint. And again, sorry, y'all might hear this music now, but he just drove by. Anyway, so yeah, I mean seriously, like La Vega never looked like an inferior opponent at all. And again, I was just talking to DJ about this. Like if there was ever a game, where, Coach Hyde after the game could be, kicking and screaming and mad or whatever, like it would be this one because of those self-inflicted wounds in the first half that could have been avoided. But he wasn't really, like, he was obviously upset with the result, but like, I think and again, I'm not going to speak for him, but it seemed like he kind of knew, like, if we can just clean those little things up, like, obviously that was a former district opponent, but it wasn't district play yet. Like La Vega should take this district. Like La Vega, to me, seems like the best team in that district. That's going to be a team that is going to really give everyone else fits. Like they've got playmakers all over the place. Bryson Rowland was unbelievable tonight. He's been unbelievable. Feels like every game of his career at this point. He's just nuts. And yeah,
Somebody needs to get on Bryson Rowland.
he's
Somebody like
he's
an Abilene
incredible.
Christian or a Sam Houston needs to
Yeah.
discover Bryson Rowland.
And I don't know if Coach Hyde's ever told any of y'all this. I thought it was hilarious when he told me this, but he said, Bryson's the kind of kid where like if you told him we need you to go play defensive tackle, like he wouldn't even hesitate. Like he will go give his all in that role. Like the kid just he's gritty, man.
Yeah, he's
and
a gamer.
I mean, and again, like just to kind of sum up, like La Vega played a really clean second half and obviously shortened that margin a bit, and maybe Stephenville maybe let off the gas a little bit. I don't necessarily think so, but you could make that argument, but still I don't think there's anything to really hang your head on if you're a La Vega fan or athlete.
All right.
Anybody that just got through playing Salina, West Orange, Stark, Brownwood,
brutal slate.
They're like, all right, let's get on to something else.
Yep,
there's only one team though in the La Vega, China, Conley, Gatesville, Arena, Robinson district that's state ranked, and that is the Robinson Rockets. So maybe they have something to say about all of this. Mr. Zach Smith, they obviously got another win tonight.
They looked every part of being state ranked. And I was talking to Austin Marshall, who caught a couple touchdowns, and he was talking about how after last week, they really kind of wanted to prove that last week was not a fluke. And certainly offensively, they did that. And they scored on 6 of their 10 offensive possessions in the game, including 5 of 6 in the first half. And Bryce McCurdy threw for 2 touchdowns and 3 touchdowns, ran for another one. Evan Moreno had 202 yards and 2 touchdowns after his awesome week last week. So that offense was clicking and it was rolling, and Hillsborough could not catch up. It was just from the jump, like Robinson was off. And like I saw them in the first week of the season in that game against West, and they really ran the ball a lot and chewed the clock and did all that. And like I was kind of surprised at how much of a vertical passing game they have, and they just kind of in all phases dominated. They even got a defensive touchdown where Tyler Gray comes down with an interception. He's returning the touchdown, and then he kind of laterals it to one of his teammates who's following him, and they score a touchdown that way. So I guess when you're hot, and Robinson certainly stayed hot. So like, I don't know how much to say. Robinson just was dominant in all phases, and even the 2 touchdowns, or 2 of the 3 touchdowns that Hillsborough scored, were just chunk plays that were kind of very just quick defensive breakdowns. They were trying to go for the ball instead of the tackle, and so Hillsborough just kind of took advantage. So
nice.
Yeah, Robinson all around, just no notes.
Only one of those teams in that district actually plays next week. That would be Lorena. They play next Thursday. But the rest will take next week off as they get ready for district play. It'll be a really light week next week, so it's probably okay that several of y'all will be out of town. I'll talk briefly about my game. Midway took a step back tonight. It was kind of disappointing, really. Just as Chad, you hate to say the first game of district is the district championship game, but sometimes it is. And this very well could have been it in District 12-6A between Midway and Harker Heights. I have a feeling they're the 2 best teams. Shoemaker, Temple, they might have something to say. We'll see.
I'm impressed by Temple going into Shoemaker. Well, was that at Shoemaker? That was Thursday night, wasn't it?
Thursday night, yeah.
Temple went in there and thumped them pretty good.
Right. I think Temple is clearly, miles better than it was last year. Mm-hmm. So Midway just, couldn't get out of its own way tonight a lot of times. They after the game, the radio guy was talking to Gillespie before I did, and and he said something about unofficially 11 penalties. I had to go back and look. I could only find 6 or 7. It felt like 11 or 15 or whatever, but they were all basically false starts. Uh, there was one offensive holding. 3 of them are inside the red zone. So now you're just like I said, you can't get out of your own way, and they still made it a game. They still had, got within 8 points late in the game. Um, Cash Pullen threw for over 300 yards tonight, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Um, Lathan Wissington had another almost buck 50. But they just, I mean, it was a bad night for the Midway O line. And tackling was not great. That was probably the most alarming thing I would say for Midway was just the defense, which is kind of what they've hung their hat on, wasn't as sharp. Harker Heights has got some speedy backs. They had 2 go over 100 yards, but it was a step back for Midway. They will come home. What?
Leo Buckley hasn't been kind to Midway over the years.
Well, and Harker Heights, I feel like they're just cursed in the Harker Heights game. 2 years ago, they lose Junior Thornton to an injury in that game. Last year, the Harker Heights, oh, guess what? Just happened to be Shane Anderson's last game at Midway. I don't know what it is about the Harker Heights game, but yeah, it's not been good for Midway lately. So can the Panthers bounce back? They get Shoemaker next week. And Joe Gillespie said nothing against Shoemaker. We'll be doing our scouting on them, but we are really going to be focused on ourselves this week because they got a lot of things to clean up. All right. There is a football game in the morning here in Waco, and I think several of y'all will be there. I know the guy in red will not.
I won't be there, no.
The rest of us, I think, might be. So, peace out. See ya.
Y'all have fun.
Thank you.